Okay, starting to record. I'm also sharing my screen. Okay. Perfect. All right. So today, let's go with the session. Open file. All right. So I hope you're able to listen to me, and let me begin the session today. The session today will cover the entire verbs within dplyr, and we already dealt with 3 verbs of dplyr. One is select, one is filter, and then we also discussed about how to use I think what are the other things that we used? Yeah, mutate. Okay, sorry. So I'm having too much probably not too much memory, like poor memory. Right. So let's go with the last session. Let's have a recap of it. And what I'm trying to do is like I'm not going to teach anything from the last session. I'm just going to give you some tasks. Right? In your R file, you can see there are something that you can do, and one is like don't worry about the commands in the first the line number 6, 7, 8 because that is just for me. And basically you're supposed to set your directory and get to know your directory and just clean up a bit of your system, right? In the 6th line, I'm using a command called as remove list is equal to ls, and it basically removes all the variables and objects in my environment. Okay, so my environment is empty now after I execute it, and I'm also setting up getting to know my directory using get wd command, and later on I'm setting up the directory to access files. Okay, and I would recommend you to do now complete this part in terms of like setting up your directory so that you can access the dataset. So you have downloaded the dataset into your downloads file or directly to your working file, and just check whether you have the file that is required for you to do the exercise. Okay, so one good way is like to set the directory first and then check the directory again, get wd, and later on list the files, and then see whether you are in the right place. Okay, so basically I forgot to set the directory, and I'll do that as well, right? So once you're done, like just put me like send in S in the chat box. Okay, done. Okay, so 3 people have done it. Right, so now if you're done with this task, I would recommend you to do the next task, like reading the CSV file. Right? So basically, you move on to the next task. The ones who are completed, right? If you're still struggling, and then just let me know in terms of like we can sort it out, right? So that's the basic goal of doing hands-on exercise class, right? Whenever you have some difficulty, if you're not able to, if you're getting some errors within your with your code, and we'll sort it out, right? now with the Zoom, and we can also share the screen and then just sort it out basically. Right now, you are supposed to do this where you read the CSV file and assign the two variable student. Basically, this one, the variable student will now be a kind of data frame, right? And it can also be called as data set. Right? I'm not going to do it. I'll just wait for you. Once you're comfortable in doing it, then I'll write the code later on. And as usual, like you need to share like whether you're done or not in the chat box. Okay. Sukanthan has done it. So like, did you complete the first task or second task?
I have completed until reading the CSV file.
Wow, that's amazing. So quick.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now, once if you're also done with that, so you can see that there is a kind of progression in your assignments, right? So you can just basically go on and fill in the other codes as well. Okay, let's see. Good. Good, Anirudh. Okay, one more. Wonderful, Naveen. Good job. Perfect, Arun. Good job. So the basic thing that you're supposed to keep in mind is like when you're reading the CSV file, ensure that the file name is wrapped inside the double quotes, right? And then you use the right kind of command like read.csv, and also see whether you have, if you can also use this one like using header is equal to true. But basically I have set everything easy for you guys. Like you just like give read.csv and then the name of the file in double quotes, and then you say header is equal to true or not, and that will basically work, right? So do I have to like shall I wait for others to complete? If you have any problems, like just let me know. So at the moment your code should look like this, right? So student, and then okay, yeah, sure, not a problem, yeah. So read.csv, and then you say what's the file name that's here at student, and also keep a visual on keep a look at the font, and since whether it is caps or not, right? And then you can also use this command header.c is equal to true, right? If your headers are really fine and good and you want to read them, and then it's better to use header is equal to true. And there is other way that also you can do it, like no, not other way. There are several other commands with the read.csv file where you can also see sep is equal to in the codes you can just give a comma or something. Imagine that you have a file that has a comma separated values, right? And which means like when you look into the data file, what happens is that every numbers will be crunched in one column in the CSV file, where all the data will be like separated by comma, right? And these are sometimes where you are supposed to read that into your R environment as well. And at that point of time, you can just use this one like sep by comma. So which means the system will understand, okay, so each and every data point is separated by a comma. Hence, I should also separate by comma and then read it. And the data frame will look really nice when you do it. Okay. And also, if it is also separated by colon, you can also give colon, and this will also no, um, to the purpose that you want, right? But at the moment, I have a clean data frame. I am not going to use separate command. I'm just going to use read.csv and also assigning that to student. Okay. And now, hope things are clear. Now, let's also practice installing packages once again, where you're supposed to install a ggplot2 package. This will be used for next week, or like in the later weeks where we'll use it for visualizations. Okay. So what I'm planning to do in the next week is like trying to give you more like more exercise on dplyr, so that you'll get accustomed to using dplyr, and then you'll practice, and then you do a lot of it with that package. Then you will be like really comfortable when you work with dplyr and ggplot. Okay. Now let's install the package. Okay, so how will you install it? Maybe install that and then
Install package. Install dot package.
okay,
Then package name.
install the packages and package name in double quotes or single quotes, or
Double quotes.
yeah, you can also give it in single quotes. Not a problem.
Okay.
But you just need to have some sort of quote on the top of it, right? So imagine that if I want to install packages like ggplot2, I supposed to install dot packages ggplot2, and I enter, and what happens is that it'll automatically ask you like where you're supposed to install sometimes, or sometimes it'll automatically install in your R library. And one hazard that might happen is that if you're working with your office computer, there might be restrictions in terms of accessing to the C drive, right? So what I will normally do is like in case if you're working with your C drive, in your office system, and create a temporary folder. It's like there will be a temporary folder in your C drive where you can go and install your R Studio in the temporary folder, and then start installing everything in the temporary folder. Right? Set that as a kind of a default place where you can go and uh, mm, put all your packages inside. Okay, so how to access it? And this kind of so whenever I'm teaching the dplyr package and other things, I should also teach you some of the problems that I encounter when I'm doing some coding. Right? And you can basically go in the R Studio. You have something called as tools on the top, in the menu icon, in the icon tray, and where you can see there's something called as global options. Okay. When you go to the global options, where you can now see where what kind of R version it is. Right? You can change the R version. Like if you have like multiple versions of R, and you can change that one. Right? Don't do anything now, right? At the moment, let's keep it like that. So whatever it's there. And if you want to change the working directory, so the default working directory is where your package will go on and get installed, right? And I like sorry, and this is like mostly the documents will be the kind of a default directory, where if in case there is no directory set, and then it will automatically go and store in the documents page, right? But you can change this default working directory. Okay. And this is the place when I was talking about like the path that you want to set for installing your R Studio, right? You can see that's like I have used a temporary folder for the moment. Okay. And then I have R 3.6.3. But when you're installing or it's like updating R, it automatically asks the path that it wants to go. What happens is that the system will automatically detect it wants to get into the normal program files, and then it goes to R Studio, and then it wants to save there. But at the moment, you need to change the path to the the folder where you want to put your R Studio, and then R in. Okay, especially the place where you want to update R. Okay, but that will come as a kind of this is handy when you are having issues in installing packages. Now let's move to the next part where you're supposed to load dplyr package, and I think this should be easy peasy. And do you have any opinion on it, like what to do here? Anyone can unmute and then say.
Library
Yeah,
library
library.
function we have to use, and
Yeah,
then dplyr package
yeah,
inside.
perfect. Right, good. So you need to use library dplyr, right? So let's load it. Okay, so we can see there's a kind of small message coming up. It's saying like attaching dplyr, and there's
Course, I
some.
think. Course missing.
Sorry, come
But
again.
for me, it's
Not,
taking too much of time to
what,
attaching the package. I'm not getting this message. It takes a lot of time.
okay, so if it is taking a lot of time, right? So maybe you need to clean up your temporary folders. and then
Okay.
make some space for the space, like you can clear up your RAM. Like
Okay.
there is some working memory, right? So you need to just clear it up
Yes.
and then just use it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it depends upon the system ability also. Even sometimes
Okay.
my system gets stuck and when it gets loaded, right?
Okay.
Okay, so the last week we talked about, like in the last week, even before that, we talked about a command called a summary command and the structure command. And there is another beautiful command in dplyr itself, and that is called glimpse, which serves as a kind of similar function, but it is also kind of a very good, elegant way to have a look at the overview of the data. Let's use glimpse function. Um, glimpse, and then we want to use it on the student. That's what we're using, right? So yeah, on the student data frame. Okay. Now you can see that it takes a bit of time in my system. Probably it could have got executed in your system, right? And I have a lot of things dumped in my C folder because I'm using my working laptop. It is connected to a network drive, and it does not really permit me to do a lot of changes. Okay. Now, so what kind of difference you can see is, like, if you can also do structure and then see, and also you can look at glimpse and see. And I would sometimes recommend using structure because it will tell you the levels even, I hope. You can see in the screen here, where I use the glimpse command and the structure command, right? The glimpse command does not really tell me what kind of levels that I have within my data frame, right? The glimpse just gives me a few observations of my data, and it basically tells me whether it's a factor or it's a kind of integer. But in case of structure, it gives me more a clearer picture in terms of how many factors are there. Is it a factor or not? And then how many levels are there? It's like, okay, male, female are there, and then there's like ethnicity, and in terms of ethnicity, there's like 5 levels, and it does not really tell me what is group A, group B, but it tells me like, okay, that's kind of overview, which is good for me to just to have kind of a rough overview of my data. Now let's get into the nitty gritty of dplyr, right? So I'm going to give you one task, right? So this is from the last week, and where you are supposed to use a student data set, which you created now, and then create a new data frame called data set. It can be sorry, it's called test. I can call this data frame or data set or even variable sometimes. It's up to you. Okay? So don't worry. So it's like basically you understand, okay, you're going to assign whatever computation that you do to test. Right? In this, what you're within the test data, the new data frame that you're creating, you must have a new column, right? And the new column should be uh, called as total score. And how will you create the total score? You create the total score by adding the score that they obtained by in the subject math, and then reading and writing. I'm just providing a hint here. For this, you are supposed to use mutate function. If you have any issues, right? So just let me know. But this will not take much time. If you understand dplyr very nicely, right? If you're not, if you're struggling, it's not a problem because you're just beginning, and it's time to learn, right? So don't feel like why I'm not getting it, right? So it's better to do things first and try to understand your nature of understanding, and then how you're coding. And once you are not able to achieve it, it's not a problem, and it's anytime it is going to be like learning. Sugandhan, what's your issue in terms of like, is it like, is this a message that you get after installing ggplot2? Uh, okay, so I hope you installed dplyr already, right? Okay, just type library dplyr and see whether it is working or not. Or if you're still finding difficulty in calling in, loading in the package, just share in your screen. Let's see what kind of trouble that you're encountering. So how far are you in, guys? And keep in mind that whenever you're creating a new column using mutate, ensure that you also give a name to it, and the name, as I told you, is like a total score. And maybe you're supposed to add total score, total underscore score, so that you have no space in between the column name. And then you just say this equals to what, and you're basically adding math, reading, and then writing score. So this is kind of total score out of 300, right? Let's see what's there. No response after calling dplyr, but is it working at least? Like, if you're, are you able to work with the dplyr package? Okay, I'm getting 1000 rows as output, expecting 124 rows here. Okay. Okay, Arun, don't worry, we'll get it sorted, right? So it's kind of we are going to learn it anyhow, but it's good that you're able to do it. Right. So let me run over the assignment. If everyone is comfortable with that, like, shall I go ahead and then write the code? Okay, let's see. Okay, Anirudh said yes. Okay, let's go here, right? So for example, say initially you need to say test. Test is where you're going to assign your data. Okay, And then the basic tenet of dplyr is that you need to say where the data is coming from, right? Student. Yeah. And then you use pipe command. And now you say mutate. Mutate. Okay. And then what you're supposed to do is like you're supposed to say total score is the new column that you're creating. And what are the data that you're going to add in? It is basically adding math underscore score plus reading score plus writing score, right? Let's check this chat as well. Not really, right? See, for example, say I never said anything about selecting, right? So in this task, you're basically using the select. You're not using select command, right? So you're just basically creating a new column with the three columns, right? So we're creating one column using three scores that is from three columns. So you don't have to use select. Okay. Uh, if you want to especially select few columns, and then you can do that. Okay. Let's see. And then later you print test. You can also use print test or just give test. But for the class purpose, I normally use the print test command. Okay, so it's kind of okay. You will get that into your mind as well. But most of the cases in my work flow, what I do is like just type test and then leave it like that. Okay. So basically, you are supposed to get 1,000 rows, right? So for example, say, imagine if I say structure of test, it should basically tell me what kind of things that I have in the test. Right? For example, say now, in the earlier case when I okay, let's do both and see. Okay, I have structure test here, right? I should also see the structure of student. And now you can compare both. Okay, in the first column it starts with gender, and then it ends up with total score in the test data frame, which is the new data frame that I created. In the next one, I just look at the student data frame where I have gender until writing score. It is not a composite score of, it does not really have a total score. Okay, but with the test data frame, I created a new column called total score by adding all the other three columns. That is the score from math and reading and then writing. Okay, are you all clear with this one? So like if you're having any difficulty in understanding this, and just open up your mic and then tell
Yeah,
me.
hi.
Yeah.
Why do I get an error saying that object math underscore score not found?
Okay, that's a good question. And did you use student in on top of it, like initially use?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
but it is reading the writing underscore, but why is not reading the math underscore?
And it cannot be really sure, right? For example, say it basically starts with the math score,
Okay,
and then it goes to reading score and the writing score. So if you have any issues with the first data reading, and it basically throws error over there itself.
okay,
Okay.
okay,
So once you sort out the math score, and then it will read the reading score, and if it has a problem over there, and then say, okay, there is a problem with the reading score as well. Okay. So
okay.
you need to understand how the data will be read in terms of the code will be read by the system. So it basically starts from student and then goes to mutate total score. Okay, it assigns a new column name, and then it goes to the
Okay,
math score. But now it does not really find math score data, and that's why it's stopping there.
okay, okay.
Right. So now,
And
did you try the code that is given no, that I wrote?
yeah, yeah, yes, now I tried yours. Actually, I have a question.
Yeah,
So why did we use dplyr previous time and not today?
we are using dplyr.
Yeah, like we used last time, no?
Yeah, the
I
last class
thought.
as well. Yeah, we used last class as well, and this class as well. We are using it. Yep.
But if I use that command dplyr dot dot, then
Yeah. I get your question, right? So you can also do that using this.
yes.
Yeah, but ensure that there is a two column. not single colon.
Yes.
So why I don't use is your question, right? So
Yeah.
if there is a kind of overlap between like overlap of functions between different packages,
Mm-hmm.
imagine mutate function is also there in a different package called as dplyr. Okay,
Okay.
right? And then I need to specifically declare R from which package this function has to be used.
Okay.
And then I use dplyr double colon mutate. So the
Okay.
system will understand, okay, so I need to use mutate function from this package,
Mm-hmm.
not from plyr package. Right? What happens is that people write different packages and they'll have similar commands when they write the packages. And the
Okay.
filter is available in two packages. Okay, the same kind of data wrangling can also be done with another package called as tidyverse. And
Mm-hmm.
tidyverse has a dplyr package and ggplot package, everything installed together.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there might be overlap between packages. Hence, you need to
Okay.
specifically declare from which package this command has to be used, and then I
Mm.
use it. But at the moment, I did not really load any of the packages. I just have dplyr. I'm just comfortably using
Okay.
it. Right?
The thing is, when I removed that dplyr's double semicolon command,
Mhm.
double colon command is when I got the answer right. Until then, it was an error.
Okay, I get it right. Totally, maybe. So maybe just try restrict with this one now. Right? Mm, it, maybe there is a spelling error with dplyr when you're typing dplyr. I'm not really sure what kind of error that you
Maybe
got.
you can check in the chat the one that I tried.
Okay, like in the chat that you did not really declare from where the data is coming,
Ah,
right?
no, I didn't send that one. Sorry.
So you need to, yeah.
Mm,
Can you just send that one as well?
okay.
All right. So guys, if you're like if you want to go to the next one, you just go to the next one. I'm not stopping you. Like if you're really going fast, like some people might be fast in terms of understanding, hence I will not stop you and go to the next part. Like there is a line called as there's a like start from line 47 in the R script, right, where you have like add one more column to the test data frame and other things, right? Now let's sort it out, Swati. Yeah.
I think it mentions here. Sorry, it says that unexpected end of line.
Maybe okay. Unexpected end of line test. Can you just copy the entire thing, right? So when your code and then your error and other things, because it would be hard for me to find mistakes if I have like like only the part of the code.
Okay, 1 second. I will share you my screen if it's okay.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Can you? Okay.
Is it allowed? Is it allowing you to share?
Maybe if you stop.
Okay, let me stop it. Yeah. All right. So this is the place, right? And the
Yes.
41. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So so what you can see is like you have two lines of code, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a disjoint between dplyr and mutate. Right? So you
Okay.
need to basically move the dplyr double dot to the bottom. Yeah, all together, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Now try and execute it. It's working, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Working.
So basically, what happens is that it reads line by line.
Mm-hmm.
But if it does not really find any corresponding information that can work together, it can like gel together and then work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then basically it stops there
Okay.
and then produces
Okay.
an error. Hence, it's always advised that you after the double when you start your pipe command
Mm-hmm.
and just go down once, like go in the new line, start typing.
Okay.
Yeah,
With the pipe command. Okay.
yeah. After the pipe command is over, then go to the new line and start typing other commands.
Okay.
Okay, I'll show that how it is done. Okay, because we are going to do only these kind of things today. Right? We might have a lot of errors, and then things might crop up in a very different way.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Maybe you can stop now sharing your screen, and then I'll move on to
Yes.
my screen. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's give it a try with the next assignment, guys. So I think it's not also tough, but there's a catch within the first instruction. Okay, Venkat Kumar have done it. Naveen has done it already. Yeah, I told you the catch, right? The catch is, right, you are supposed to assign the value to the same data frame. You're not supposed to now if you look at the test data frame, what okay, it's already there. Now it might got it, right? So it might got another data column added to it. It's also fine, but you can also use test as an assuming the test is the new data frame, right? Instead of having student, you can just have test, but it's fine. But now it will also work. I'm not denying that it should also work, but I expected is like, okay, you must have like test and test like this, right? So that you do not really change much of things in the student's data frame. It's not still not happening, but I'm just I just expected this one, but it's not a problem. But at the moment, you'll have just look at the structure and see whether you have two columns, the ones that you added earlier and then the ones that you are adding now. I hope it should be there. Okay, so I'll just allow others also to do it, and there's a little bit of math behind it, so it's not difficult math, but you're just adding two variables and then you're dividing that by 2 to get an average. So that so how this will go, it should go like this. Shall I go and type the code? Is it fine for you all? Or if you want me to wait, I can just wait. So okay, now 2 column is all. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so nice. I hope you did it in your system already. Okay, so that's why I'm just trying to go on. And so basically, so when I'm imagine that as I mentioned to Swati as well, so I have the pipe command and then I go to the new line and then start typing new date. And I say there's a new, I want to add a new column called average reading writing ability. And I'm just taking 2 scores of reading and writing score. I'm putting in the brackets so that it'll just compute that first and then move on to the next one. Reading underscore score plus writing underscore score divided by 2. So if I look at, could you please say why? Okay, I'll answer your question, Anderson. Let's have a structure. Let's have a look at the test. So now we can see there are like 2 new columns added from the existing data frame that we had like student. Now we are able to add 2 more columns with the average reading writing ability score and also with the total score. So this is the best part of now using dplyr, so that you can add columns, you can delete columns, and you can do whatever you want to do. Right? Okay, so there's a question from Anirudhan. It's a very nice question, I would say. It's called saying just put in the, if we cannot really see in the system, let me put it here. Why this does not work? In a sense, he's asking, I have a test um, and pound sign and then average reading writing ability is equal to test mutate reading score, right? So dplyr works in a different way, and then the base package of R works in a different way, right? This command is from the base package, right? You are basically trying to create a new column average reading writing ability, right? And then you are trying to couple that with the dplyr commands, okay, where you say mutate, right? But this will not really work, right? How you can make it work with the base R package is like you say test. Let's put it in the student one, right? So for as an example, so rather so that will not have multiple test column, multiple kind of duplicate column in the test file, right? And average ability, right? You say, and then you say a student. Basically, you're supposed to say row sums, and so basically you need to assign row sums, and then take all the columns that you wanted to do it, right? How you do it, like in a sense, test subset, and you need to give what are the column names here. In sense, what will come here in sense reading. Let's go. Writing as a command. Sorry. And divided by 2. I don't normally, I don't really enjoy the base R package, so I normally use that one. Okay, so the problem is like it's not. It will basically say maybe the column numbers. C of reading underscore score, comma writing underscore score. There's another problem because I have another open brackets missing. Okay, still I'm not able to get this one done. Okay, so I'll sort out the base package stuff, but that's how you're supposed to. And since you're supposed to subset the basic base data based, basically you need to subset the columns from the data frame and then do it. Okay, I think the catch was like the problem here is like it is not from still having a problem, but I'll sort it out later, right? And then let you know on it, right? But the problem with your code is that you're basically mixing up the base R, and then you're basically also using dplyr, right? So for example, say you can see with my coding ability or what I have, right? So I cannot really write the exact way that you can really subset the data and then put it in, right? But one way I can do is like I can basically subset one by one and then just join it as a column and then do it. But there are easy ways to do. So people who are really good in coding with R, especially the base R, they can do it, right? But why do I use dplyr is that, see, this is more intuitive for me, right? So I don't have to do much of hard work in terms of thinking like what I'm supposed to do with the base package, right? So that's why I do this with dplyr, and dplyr is quite comfortable for me. And one other disadvantage is that you lose your basic R ability as well. So let me be honest in that, right? Now let's go to the next part, right, of the assignment. But I will also answer a question later on. So I'll just give a try later and then just put the answer later on. Let's go to the 56th line of the script and then try this filter and arrange command. Okay, we did not. I think we did not talk about arrange command, but use that one, and let's see how it works, right? And basically, you say arrange at the end like this, like Imagine I'm going to arrange, imagine that I'm going to use arrange here in this part, the test part. I can basically give arrange just like this, okay? Leave it like that. And what happens is it automatically arrange data in the ascending order. Okay. And you're going to try the similar stuff with this part. Maybe arrange the data in ascending order, but with just arrange command, it should work in the ascending order. Give a try with that one, right? Sometimes it might not work, where sometimes it might ask you to specifically ask for a column within the range command. And if it is not working, then we can go to that one. But if it is working, just let's see how it goes. Okay. I got answer for your question, Anirudh. So you can see my code. It's in the screen, in the console. You can do it like this. Yeah, the problem is like when you're subsetting a data frame, you can easily access the data frame with the pound sign, because you're accessing a column, right? So either you need to specifically, for example, say if you're specifically accessing column, and then it can also be done in the other way around, which I forgot, right? Because you are accessing a kind of matrix in mind, right? So say sum and test. If you're using this square brackets, and you need to say you skip the row, and then just say take a column like math score, and then now the difficulty comes here in the sense of like you need to know the column number, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you use C, we need to mention the column number instead of the name.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it might work with the name, but I haven't really used that way. But you can also do that, right? So it's like basically you need to give the column number, and then you ask the do it like this. Imagine that I'm going to say let's have a look at the data file and then do it.
Okay.
So it's column number 6 and 7, 8, but we need for 7 and 8, right?
Yeah.
7, 8. Let's try and then see. Yeah, it's working.
It'll work.
Yeah, but it's like you can see the sum function does not really give the answer that we expect, right? So you need to wrap up the command in a proper way.
Right.
Yeah, it has to be row sum maybe. Yeah, it's row sums, not sum. Okay, if you just add sum, that's wrong, because the row sums will take the sum of each row. So it will say it will go to reading score, and then it will take the writing score. But if you just give sum, what happens? It will compute the score for the entire column.
Okay.
So don't do that, right? And there is other way that if you want to have the entire column to be added, Right?
Yeah.
If you want to add one more row with all the totals, and you need to use call sums, there is another command called as call sums.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, but ensure that you are adding a new row, not a new column. Okay, here we are just adding a new row, right?
Understood.
Yep, cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
But no problem. Yeah. Okay, so how far it is going, guys? Like, are you able to achieve this one? But did I miss some commands? Like, yeah. Give me a second, guys. My son is, he wants some help. Sorry, I'm back. Let's see what's in the chat. Okay. So this okay. Arun has got an error. Okay, let's see. Okay, so okay, let's see how it can be done, Arun. Okay, let's type the code and then let's get it sorted. Right. So now, basically, you are supposed to say test one and take it from student. Okay, that's the instruction that I missed. Okay, you're supposed to take it from the student data set. But if you have used test also, it's fine, no problem. And you need to say filter ethnicity equals, right, C of sorry. And these two are character variables, right? So it's not a numerical data. So if it's a numerical data, you can just basically give. I'm sorry, guys. So when you're staying at home, it's a bit of difficulty in terms of concentrating on the class as well. Okay, so now let's get back. Yeah, true. It's a joy, right? But now I need to know what's there in the ethnicity part. So you have group A and group B, right? You need to type as such. Okay, so group B, okay, with the space and comma group D. Okay, that's how you need to filter and ensure that you close the brackets, right? And then say arrange. But we are not specifically giving the arrange command, but let's give it a shot. It might throw an error, right? Or else maybe we can arrange it based on some specific column, right? Maybe with math score or with total score. Let's see how this is working, and then if you want to change it, we can just change it later. Okay, so test one. Let's print structure of it rather than the entire data frame. Maybe I would not go the stretch. Let's do the head so that we can see the first six value of it. Okay. Right. So now we can see it does not really go with any of the arranging command, right? So it does not really arrange it in ascending order. Like if you look at any of the columns, right? So because there is no information here in the arrange part, right? Imagine that I want to arrange it according to the average reading rating ability score. Right? So I'll just give it like that and execute the command again. And what should happen now is like the results that you're getting where the average reading writing ability it will be in ascending order. So it's basically start from the lowest value and then go to the highest value. And if you want to have it in the descending order, you can also do it like that. For example, say now you got the results here, where its average reading writing ability is like 19.5, 23.5. It goes in the ascending order, right? But if you want to get the descending order of this, this in the similar fashion, okay, so you can also say descend and complete the code just like that, right? Since I did manipulation the student column, I use it like maybe you can use test in this part. Okay. Now you can see in the average reading rating ability score. There are some student who got like 100. So since they're pretty good with both, right? They got in the reading they got 100, and in the writing they got 100. There are like 3 people like that, right? So you can see that the data frame is structured in a way that it arranges each and every row. It picks the row, the entire row, and then puts it according to the order that we expected, uh, based on the average reading writing ability. Okay. Any questions here in terms of like trying to understand this function, in terms of understanding how this command works, in terms of filtering and yeah. Okay, so there's one question here. Okay, unable to create a data set. Okay, it's a bit long. It's from Sugantan. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so Sugantan, can you share your screen? Right, guys, like maybe you might have removed test 1, test 2, right? Not right, not yet, right? Okay, so it's coming next, so not a problem. Okay, so maybe you can just use test here. Okay, let's hear from Sugantan. Sugantan, can you no, come on call? Like in sense like be live. Hello? Yeah, I'm not sure about how he has done completed it.
But I'm getting this error in descending object. This is not found.
Is this Naveen?
Yeah.
Okay, Naveen, just check whether you created test 1 or test. Use test 1 because you created the like. Did you create? See, what happens is that you need to check your data frame. Like the data frame should have the column that you are mentioning, right?
Yeah, it has. Let me check.
Sugandhan, you can come over. You can just unmute yourself in Zoom, and then you can talk to me. Like still, like for example, say so. The problem that you might be facing is that you did not really, you might not really have the column called average reading writing ability in your data frame. Okay, so the test data frame you must have because you created this one already. So that's why use test, and then if you're still not getting it, check for 2 possible reasons. One is that whether you gave the right kind of name, right? So if there's a name mismatch, okay, is there a kind of did you miss a kind of space or kind of a spelling error or something like that, right? And also if you're finding, okay, whether my data, what kind of data are there in the test data frame, just type head test, right? Head test, sorry, head test. Now see whether your data set have these columns that we are using, right? What's the command for ascending? For ascending, you don't have to do anything. So basically just remove descending part, right? By default, it goes for ascending. Yeah. So if you just say arrange average reading and writing ability, and it basically arranges in ascending order. But if you want to specifically say it has to be in descending order, then you need to specifically say descending in your command. I mean, is it sorted?
No.
Not yet. Okay, maybe you can share your screen. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Okay. Can you
Okay,
see my screen?
yeah, I can see it. Perfect. Right. Okay. Can you just move up a bit? Move up a bit, like so
So the
that I can.
spelling also mistaken in this file actually.
In the file that I uploaded.
Yeah, it's okay. Anyways, it's just
Yeah. So it's like in the column name, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Anyways, that is okay. Okay. But the main problem is this average, this error. Okay. Let me show you where I'm getting this one. Here I'm doing this right.
Now, just type head test in your console.
Head test.
Yeah. Okay,
Seems
so you
to
have it, right? So let's go back and then we can sort it out in the command then. Right. So like what you gave for dplyr, right? Like what you gave for filter command, and try the same for your arrange command. Here's like
this one.
no. So no, not like that, right? So descending average reading rating score, let it be like that, right? So you had dplyr double colon filter, right? And
Correct.
similarly change add dplyr double colon to arrange command and see whether it's okay. Okay, still not getting it. Okay. Yeah, I think yeah, true. There is a pipe command missing after your dplyr filter.
Oh, I see.
Here, the
Silly
line
mistake.
61. Yeah, that's a nice find. That's a nice find, Arun. Good.
Okay, now.
Let's see what's happening with Suganthan.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
ensure you
Thanks.
have like after all the dplyr verbs, you must have the
Mhm.
pipe command. Okay,
Oh, okay. Thank you.
good. You can stop sharing and
Yeah.
let's go move on to the other persons. Okay. All right. So okay, let me sort out the problem of Suganthan. Since okay, so Suganthan is having a different kind of error. Okay. Like, let's try and find and help Suganthan here, right? So where he's trying to do it. Yeah. So Suganthan, what you have missed is like after the pipe command, you missed arrange function, right? You need to give arrange and then descent, and then you're supposed to say the column, the specific column that you want to arrange. Okay, that is what missing. If you look at carefully, 68th line starts really well. It's good. 69th line is also really good. It's fine. But in the 70th line is kind of missing, right? So you're supposed to give arrange over there. Yeah. And I think if you do it, and then it should be fine. Right. So this part of the code is missing, Suganthan. So once you do it, you will be able to achieve the results. Okay, now, as I told you, right, so we need to clean up the data, clean up the environment a bit. So just clean it up, remove test and test one from your system, like from your R environment. How do you do it?
Hi,
Yep.
it's Anirudh here. So I've written one other question in the chat.
Yep.
If possible, could we take a look at that question now? Or?
Yeah, sure. And between people can just try and remove the data sets. There's a test and test one from the system. Okay.
So my question is, I use the Boolean operator for OR, and
Okay.
then it returned 452 rows of data.
Okay.
But then when I use the C function, like you
Mhm.
said, I got only 235 rows of data. So I'm not sure what the difference is between those functions.
Okay, let's have a look at like what are the how many numbers of observations are there with group D and group
Yeah,
D. Yeah,
that's
that's
better.
really important, right? Let's go for summary. And say test and hyphen ethnicity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So group B has 190 and group D has 262.
What is the sum of that?
So it should be like 190 plus 262.
So it should be 452.
452. Yeah, that's true. So, but we are getting only. Okay, so we are just getting 235, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, maybe my command is wrong. So you say ethnicity equal to
Ethnicity equals group B.
yeah, it should
How?
be group B and
No, they should be OR. So that was so I got mistaken there as well. If we say group B and group D, there won't be anything because there's only group B or group D.
okay.
Because the description is a little bit misleading there. The description
Okay.
is correct, but then the command, the operator we need to use is OR.
Okay.
Yeah, because yeah, I think you understand. Yeah.
Let's have a look at it. Did he remove test and test one? No, it's there. I'm getting different sort of error now.
Yeah, maybe we can remove the average readability in the range function. Maybe we can give ethnicity. That should work.
But like, let's test where this code is working and then see.
Yeah. You forgot to give ethnicity equals again for group D.
Yeah, true. That's right.
It's always misleading when it comes to programming. It's
It's like,
logically
most of the time it's like kind of trial and error, and then
I mean logically it's correct, but then for the programming sake, it's always
it's still not working. Maybe I need to.
maybe that column is not there. I'm not sure.
No, it's like
It
it's
is
like,
there. Okay.
yeah, it is there. Like basically, you can. It should work in sense of like, let's take the summary again.
Yeah, now it worked, I guess. Now there are 452 rows in your environment.
Yeah, test. Let me test from this side as well, right?
Yeah.
So, sorry. Summary test one. Sorry. Yeah, 450 observations. Yeah. And this one should also work. Let me give it a shot. This one should also work in a similar fashion, right?
That will give 0 if I'm not wrong.
Let me see, right?
Yeah.
Because I basically used uncommand, like, so I need this one and this one. Right?
Yeah. So what this condition says is the ethnicity should contain both group B string and group
Yeah,
D
I
string, if I'm
understand.
not
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's a bit like.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a programming thing. Logically, it sounds correct, but then for programming, it's completely the
true,
opposite
true.
direction.
I understand. Okay, so yeah, of course, yeah. So sometimes, yeah, it's a yeah. I understand the logic behind the computing language. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because
so
I tried and the first time as well. So
okay, no problem. Right. Okay, so now with the feedback from Anirudh, and then now we are able to rectify the code, right? So basically, use this one to get both of them, but don't use uncommand, like to have both of them. Like if you use uncommand, it does not really work as in the intuitive way. It works in the programming way. Right? Okay, now let's move on to the next part where you're supposed to remove the temporary data set, right? So remove test and test one, and that will remove everything. So now just you have like student, only the student data frame in your system, right? And then now what you're supposed to do is like you're supposed to work with all the commands that I'm going to teach you a few other commands today in terms of group by, summarize, and arrange. Okay, so this is going to be arrange we discussed already, but I'm going to focus more on group by and summarize commands. So this is far more important when it comes to in terms of reporting, in terms of like trying to compare between groups when you are trying to create visualization to compare between groups, and this group by command comes in handy. Okay, and what happens is that the group by command normally is helpful when you're trying to create an average across groups. Okay, and the summarize command will automatically work along with group by command. If you just create a summarize command without any group by command, what happens is it just produces one line of output where you do not really have like any kind of basic information, right? But in case if you just pipe them together, like if you use group by on the top, and then if you just go with the summarize later on, and you can easily compare groups, right? So let me show you one example. I think the code is already ready, and then I'll show you how that is done. Okay. So let me go through the code one by one, and I'll tell you how it is done, right? If you look at, I'm trying to compare the average marks of male and female across all subjects. So that's the kind of task that I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to achieve it with dplyr. Okay. In the 85th line, you can see I'm just using a data set student, and then I'm going with the select command where selecting gender, math, reading score, writing score. So because that is what I am really interested in. And in the instruction, I did not really specifically talk about select command, but in the later hands-on exercise, I just mentioned everything over there. And that was like what are things that you are supposed to do, right? And then you are using group by command. So what happens is that it initially selects all the all the rows of the columns: gender, math, reading, and then writing score. Right? And then it groups based on gender. So it will basically categorize the entire data frame into, okay, so these are the participants from male, these are the participants who belong to the gender category female. And then this takes to the next piping command where it creates an average score for average mean score for math, average score for reading ability, and then writing ability, and then computes the mean. So that's what I'm doing here. And also, please ensure that what I'm trying to also do here is like I'm just giving a name in the summarize command. Okay? So when I get the output, I want it in such a way that, okay, there is average math score an average reading score and the average writing score. Okay, and then I give what it has to do. So it takes like the average. Like I can use mean instead of average. So then the mean of math score should get stored in average math. The mean of reading score gets stored in average reading. The mean of writing score gets stored in average writing. Okay. Then I can print the test and see. Okay, what I can expect now is like I just get like a kind of 2x3 matrix. So there are like only two genders in this data set, male and female. And I have average math score for male, average math score for female, and similarly for the other categories as well. Okay, let's see what kind of output we are getting. Right. As I told you, it's a 2x3 matrix. It's also like having the gender information, so it's kind of a 2x4 matrix. And you can see it produces compare. Now it's easy for me to compare and contrast between these categories, right? So you can see average math score of male participants or like male respondents are 68.7, and female is 63.6. And similarly, you can compare. Okay, the reading ability of females are really good, and the writing ability of females are really good, right? So this is how you can use summarize and then group by command. Right? So group by command comes in handy. For example, say I can take this one and then I can plot something. So I can just create a kind of a bar chart, as like I can create a scatter plot with this table that I created. So this is easy for me. Right? So initially use dplyr to reduce the volume of the data into few rows and columns, and then you can use that one for reporting. Okay. Any questions here, guys? Like in terms of like trying to understand group by and summarize. Okay. So then I would recommend you to do this hands-on, right? And does not really have a complex structure like filtering command like the one that I gave earlier, which I was also wrong. And thanks Anirudh for correcting me. So now try this hands-on and see how you really ace up well with the dplyr stuff, right? So what are the things that you're going to use here? I'm just going to give you some kind of hint, right? Basically, you are going to use select command, and also you're going to use group by and then summarize command. And also you're going to use mutate command because you're going to compute average total marks on all subjects scored by a student. So you have a new column to be created. So you will also have mutate. So I'll just type a hint here. I'm putting that in order so that you'll be able to get it easily. Select, mutate. Let's go to the chat box. Average of average on ethnicity. So what you're trying to do is like you're trying to create average marks for each and every respondent first, right? And then you're trying to see whether this average mark is differing across ethnicity, where you're supposed to go for another average here. So you're trying to create a new column where you have an average mark for you take all three subjects and then you divide that by 3, right? And then each and every student will have an average mark, right? But we should also see and compare how far they are like differing across ethnicity, whether the ethnicity have a role on in terms of their average mark scored in their schools. So that's what we are trying to see. And Sukhantan is having difficulty in Yes, Naveen, you can also use RM test1 test1. That's also fine. Definitely, we can give +1, even +2, 3, 4 to Anirudh for his question. Yes, Arun, it is not working, but let me try and see where the filter combine group B and group D, why it is not working. Because I think I have used it earlier, but I kind of like forgot how to use it. Let me see if I can get any information. I'll post it across maybe in the next week, or like I'll post as a kind of small video how it can be done. Okay, the group command works fine, but the previous task does not really. Okay, maybe check your codes again, right? In terms of how you use the code, like let me post the code directly so that you can access it. Okay. Okay, see, your dataset student does not have your average reading rating ability. So instead of student, use test. The code is here. Yeah, sure. How is this one going, guys? Pretty good. Able to use all the commands, also all the dplyr webs. Perfect, Arun. That's so nice. Okay, now I got it. So that's how I did it. Right. Naveen is having an error. Okay. Error column average marks must be length of 1, not 86. Okay, let's have a look into your code. And let me use the same command in my system and see why it's not working. Right? Okay. What I will do, I will try and copy this code. This is a kind of easy code, right? So we'll talk about this a bit after. Okay, let's go back to Naveen's question. Okay, so one mathematical error in your code is like you have 3 columns you have taken and you divide that by 2, it will not give you the right average marks. Okay, you cannot really compare and contrast with all the other students' results here. So you're supposed to divide that by 3. Okay, see, in the summarize function, like the summarize average marks, okay, you're supposed to give average marks is equal to mean of average underscore marks. So this is supposed to be within your within your summarize command, right? Now this will produce only one value for average marks. Do you get it, Nami?
Fine.
Yeah. So basically, you need to tell kind of assign a new name. Maybe I can say maybe like just marks even.
Yeah,
then
got it.
Yeah, and then you say mean of what. Cool. It's working. Good to know. Anyone have any questions, guys? Like, are you all keeping up, like doing well? Swati, perfect. Good. Group A, Group B, Group D. Yeah. Let's see whether everyone gets the same results. Okay. Let's give it a try now, right? Imagine that I'm going to write the command. Okay, let me go one by one. Try to understand how the code really works, and later on I'll explain the code that I wrote for Anirudh's question. Right? Now, so let's take a test 1 today. Okay, so I created a new variable average underscore ethnicity, and then you say the dataset student. Okay, and what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to create new variable, and then create a compute average total marks on all the subjects. So average underscore total underscore marks is equal to, you give it like average marks, so it should be easy for me. And you are supposed to take math score as and then what do you say, reading plus writing, and divide that by 3. So basically for like avoiding like kind of small errors, so I would just wrap it around so that it computes the sum first and then it divides that by 3. And then you have the pipe again. Did I use select already? I didn't select, so hence you select, because I just want to select ethnicity and marks on all the subject, right? Now I'm going to give you one more hint, right? Instead of typing entire thing like math score, reading score, writing score, I can basically, there is some commonality between these columns. One is called score, right? I can just say contains, and try to add few new information so that you can just get a grasp of it. So instead of like putting each and every column name, I can basically say the dplyr pipe that, okay, so just select a column that contains score, right? Because that's a kind of easy way to write code, right? So imagine that you have like 50 columns which has the same name, right? Then you can just use these kind of commands instead of using like typing 50 different columns, which will be really tedious. Or like maybe other way around is like you go and then look at the column number and then do it. But if you find there's a commonality, it's better to use contains. Okay.
Can we use this contain command in this downside also? In method function, we are defining these 3.
Yes, it can also be done.
Okay.
Okay. I'll show you that one as well. Okay. So that kind of additional information to you today. Right? But let's perform this one first, right? And then complete it. Later on, we'll go to the other part. And group by, so anytime understand the group by function is applied for any as a sort of categorical data. So it's a kind of group data. Okay, don't apply that group by for numerical data. For example, you cannot apply the group by command for a math score or reading score. So there is no point because it's a numerical data. Okay. Ethnicity, and then summarize. Summarize average marks is equal to of average like maybe put it like instead of confusing system, so let's keep it like mean average marks, which is weird, but it's okay. And print average score ethnicity. Yeah, we are getting similar results to Swati. I hope you're also getting the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay, pretty good. So now let's go to the let's explore the question that we had already, and I just used earlier. I used to do this, right? So instead of using the OR operator, I normally use this one. And since I hope if you're on the computing side, probably you'll know, like if you have a percentage sign and then in and then another percentage sign, it takes all the values of which you're giving in this combined concurrent function. Okay, and this is a kind of easy way to fetch data based on the conditions that you give. Okay, so if you say filter of ethnicity, where you fetch all the values like from group B and group D. Okay, if you execute that one, and then if you see the head of it, like not head of it, like maybe a structure of it, just to now we can see it has 452 observations, like the expected output 452 observations. Okay, and the ethnicity let's see the head, because I'm not really sure, because it should only have ethnicity B and T, but here I'm getting, yeah, it just had like B and D. Okay, right. So this is one easy way to write. So where you want, if you want to use concurrent function within the filter command. Okay.
Thank you.
So instead of using the OR operator. Yeah.
Understood.
Right. Now let's get back to the higher end of the mutate. Now using select within mutate. Okay. So mutate. I'm just going to ask the code here. I did kind of trial and error today morning. Let's see if it works again. Also, I have the kind of backup code, so not to worry. So there are ways and means that you can compute, right? So basically, I'm trying to sum all the rows and then create a new column, right? So I'm just using a shortcut command called row sums, and then I'm going to use select command again, right? And what I'm supposed to do, say contains, okay? Contains what? Scope. Okay. So let's run through the code in a bit by bit way, right? You say mutate, and then you give the new column name average marks, and you say new row sums, and then select, and then contains. Okay, so basically you are asking for a row sum of whatever thing that is within here, right? For the data that you're describing here, and then divide that by 3. But however, like it cannot really work like that. Maybe you should need a bit of yeah. So okay, so this select command should also have, since you are taking the data frame, right? And the data frame, when you say like contains, what happens is that it basically takes those 3 data frames, 3 columns. Hence, you are not really defining column properly from the data frame. Hence, I normally use a dot like kind of a full stop or like dot here. What happens is that this dot will allow me to take these three columns and then just add all these three columns together with the row sums function. If I don't define anything here, okay, it's basically when you say select, and you're supposed to say which column that you're supposed to select, right? Especially like for example, select ethnicity, and then you say select content score. So this is one way, but you are just using the entire data frame here. Instead of here, you're declaring, okay, which column is coming up here, but you're basically in this case where you're giving, you take these columns. However, the row sums functions will not just work if you just say select content score. Hence, I am just adding a dot comma. So it basically fetches these three columns and then performs row sums on these three columns. Okay. And let's see if it is going to work. Maybe I'm just missing. Okay, it worked. Yeah, it works as well. See, this is kind of I would say with the kind of very basic intuitive way. I normally go with this one. Like if I have multiple columns, if I want to select all the columns based on some commonality, and I can do that. And however, like the challenge is that when you use a function in front of it, when you want to use sum or when you want to use main, and then you need to be a bit careful, right? So you can also use mean, and also you can work and see. Let's try. But I think, sorry. So the problem is like when you use a mean and it can computes mean for the entire column. I would normally allow you to explore it, whether it is working or not. So this is another easy way to do using mutate and select together. This is another easy way to compute, but it goes once you get experience, right? But at the moment, you can just restrict yourself with like mutate average max is equal to just select columns and then do it like this. Okay. Now let's go to the. Are you clear with this one? Any questions here?
No.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next part. Okay, this is the last task for today, where you're going to use select and also group by and arrange. Okay, I think this should be easy to go. Let's see.
Hello.
Hello. Yep. Hello. Someone was talking. So, okay, there's a chat. Okay, let me see. Okay, you thought you got disconnected. Yeah, I had the same feeling as well sometimes. It's like the beauty of, no, I would not say the beauty. The problem with online teaching is that I don't really get enough feedback when I teach. And it's a kind of monotonous teaching. And also, it's not interactive. Hence, getting used to this kind of environment is a bit difficult. In the class, you normally can see the face of your student and you can see, okay, I think they are getting something from what I'm talking. Uh, when it comes to online teaching, it is it's really difficult to understand what students are thinking about and whether they are really feeling comfortable in understanding my words or not. And that puts me into kind of a difficult situation sometimes. So how is it going, guys? In sense, is it easy? I hope the task is not difficult.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Compare the average math score across gender and parents' education. What do you mean?
So you are basically having you must have two group by functions. Like so
For
you group by gender and as well as by parents' education.
okay.
So what
And
you're
then,
supposed? Yeah, please.
Okay, go ahead, please. I should group by gender and parents' education and average math score across all that.
Yeah. So see here, whenever if you are working as a data scientist or if you're going to work as a data analyst, right? So they'll not the person who is going to give you work will not normally say like, okay, you need to do group by and then you need to do summarize, you need to do this and that, right? So he'll not come and tell you each and every single step. So it'll basically tell you like, oh, if you want to see the comparison between the math score based on two variables like gender and parents, like parents education,
Okay.
right? And so basically you are supposed to understand, okay, so they are expecting this from the instructions, which means like you are basically are supposed to create you need to use imagine I'll tell you the commands that you're supposed to use.
Okay.
Commands to use in order, okay? So it's in order. So what will come first, what will come next, right?
Okay.
So basically you are having a data set and then you are supposed to use select command and then you're supposed to compare average math score, right? And so you need to use group by later on, group by with gender and parents, and then you say summarize, yeah,
Yes.
where you create the average math score and you say average math is equal to something, right? So I'm not telling you the answer now, and then you need to use arrange function.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good that you asked, right?
Yeah, I got confused a bit. I thought nothing. Okay. Yeah.
That's how like if you're on a day-to-day life, like when I do some data analysis, right, my professor will not ask me to do he'll not tell me that okay I need to do this and that, right? He'll basically tell me that you need to build a model. So I need to understand how the data has to come in, how the data has to be structured. Then I work in a fashion that okay, so data has to come in such a way so that it can be built as a model. So you need to understand as a person, as a data analyst, you're supposed to understand how things has to be done, right?
Okay.
So these are the things that you will basically encounter when you're getting instructions.
Okay.
Sometimes I might be wrong. Sometimes I might give a very bad instruction. That happened many times. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, there's one more chat box. So Winkit has done it. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. So it looks good to me, Venkat. It should definitely work. Arun has done it. Oh, wonderful. Nice. Done as well. Okay, that's amazing. That's really nice. Good to know. Okay, perfect. Now, if you have done it right, so this and using okay. All right, so now I can easily, if I use the code and I can get the output, and it's a similar code that I had earlier as well. You can see the people who are male and have a master's degree have a higher, like if their parents has a master's degree, they have a higher math score compared to a gender female, okay, and then who have some high school degree, since it's not a proper high school, and if their parents are not educated well, which means like the average math score is going down, right? So which means maybe just from the data set, okay, so don't think that, okay, in terms of like gender bias and other stuff, just look at the data. So in terms of like looking at the data, we can see if your parents are really educated well, and your math score can go higher, right? And then, and as usual, as not as usual, as we have seen in the data set already, male counterparts have more, like the average score of them are really high compared to female counterparts, right? But when it comes to females, okay, so none of their parents had like, even though their parents had a master degree, right, they do not really score much, right? So this is just from the data set, just from the sample that we got, right? It might differ across different populations, right? And that is where you go for these kind of estimations and statistics and other stuff, where you try to say, where you have a sample and you try to estimate that for the population. And you estimate that for the population, and it gets in the probability whether it is really happening or not. And the statistics will tell you, like the p-value of your no statistical analysis will tell you whether it is happening or not. We will get into those part later on. I think it will take maybe probably around another 2-3 weeks to get into those kind of lines, right? So are you all comfortable with this one? So maybe you can all open up the mic and tell me, how do you feel about dplyr, and are you all comfortable in doing it, or do you what kind of feedback that you have on this class?
So I found that one function was very interesting, combining dplyr with the row sums function.
Okay, yeah, fine. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, that's what I think. I cannot really introduce a lot of different ways that I use for my day-to-day research purpose. But okay, I'm trying to add in slowly rather than adding a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Especially with dplyr, because when you are conversant with dplyr, right, you can do a lot of other things.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. And then so I'll just take like maybe you can see you can see a kind of small change from the previous script files, right? In this script file, I have used. You can see there is a line which is like kind of blue in color, and there is something in like green, like kind of light green color, right? So this is normally used for commenting purpose. Like double hashtag is normally used for commenting purpose. But if in case we have a long comment, or it's like kind of you want to write this as a report or something, and if you want to add a lengthy comment, then you can just use this double quotes in script file. So this will not be read as a code. This will be just read as a character in your R environment. Okay. So this is another way. This is another thing that I want to introduce to you today, in terms of like how to code and comment it. Right? Imagine that I want to add some comments to this code. For example, you are sending this document or like R script file to someone else, where they are kind of trying to read and understand your code. Right? Imagine that you are trying to explain this code, and if you want to explain it, you can just add 2 hashtags and then start explaining. Okay. The function row sums adds all values row wise, right? Yeah, and that's how we can do some commenting. Okay, so ensure that the commenting is like making more sense. It's like it's helpful for anyone to understand what you're trying to do, how you're subsetting your data, right? And also I want to share one more information in terms of like the select dot part where I talked about, right? It basically the dot part will work like whatever data that is subsetted using the select command, and everything will be added using everything will be taken care by the R environment in terms of the functions that you give. So the row sums function will be applied to all the columns that is selected using this command. Right? That's why we give the dot comma here. Or it's like if you specifically say that these data has to be taken, and then you're supposed to, and then just giving only one column would be fine, right? You can just say select math or something, or math and something else, like when you want to perform function. Since you're using kind of a multiple column and then using some special command like contains, then you're basically giving empty information here, so that it basically execute the function row sums on all the columns that you selected using this contains function, right? And this is it for the day.
I
And
have one small question, please. So the row sums function, could you please go back to it?
Yeah, please.
So the select function inside the row sums function is a dplyr function, right? It isn't the
No,
R
see,
input.
like in the mutate function, like the basic dplyr verbs are just select, mutate, group by, summarize, and arrange, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can also use multiple stuff within the R, right? So you can also combine the base R with dplyr, but this has to be done within the verb, right?
Okay.
So in the initial case where we had a question, right? So why I cannot really use this one and that one, right? So that does not really gel up well together. Like if you are able to gel up well together, and we can use some base functions within dplyr pipes, right? The row sums is not from dplyr; they are just from like the base R package, right? The mean function that I used is just from the mean like the base R package.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is like I introduce you the basics of R initially, and then now I'm trying to introduce a dplyr, right? And later on, we basically use these two together. In the upcoming weeks, I will also introduce a ggplot, right?
Okay.
And when I introduce you ggplots, so you will use basically like the base of R and base of dplyr and base of ggplot, and together in performing some task.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is how you will basically grow. And later on, once you're able to understand how to subset data, how to understand how to manipulate data things, then we'll be moving on to the data science part, where not in terms of like machine learning and other things, like the basics of data science, understanding what is statistics, how the statistics will work, what is t-test, what is f-test, what is chi-square, and other things.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. Any other questions, guys? Not really. Maybe just yep.
Balak, can we read like in practical way, like we are reading CSVs? So can we read some sites data as well for downloading some listing? Let's say just dial is there, so I want to read some pages or some data from that one.
Yeah, so it's you can also use R for web scraping, and I did basically scrap data of the COVID disease data using some packages. So there are some specific packages for reading URLs and then scraping data from the URL, and
so are we going to
that is very much possible. So you can do it.
So are we going to learn anywhere in the class?
Okay, you want to learn it? Okay, so I'm not really doing that much. Like so maybe I'll just surface around it one day. I'll show you how it is done.
Okay.
But I'm not an expert in that.
Oh, no problem. Just give me some directions so that I can.
Yeah, that I can always provide. So that's not a problem. So that I can introduce in a class, like I can tell you how that can be done. So it's not an issue. Yeah. So similarly, like if you have any kind of like a request or something, just let me know, and let's see how we can incorporate that one within the class. I think that's really helpful. So it is also helpful in terms of learning as a group. And also, it will also help me to explore further in terms of like how to use R. Right? Imagine if Anirudh not really popped up, showed me the problem today, and now probably we will all understand uh, the subsetting in a very different way. So entire thing is wrong, right? But now because he raised in question, then we are able to understand it in a better way, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yep. So always like be more proactive in terms of like asking questions. So don't think that it's a silly question, just ask a question so that we'll get it clarified. Right? We all will mutually learn. Okay?
Right.
Okay, so if that's the last question, then we can just say goodbye for this week. Let's meet up next week. Sorry, I have a question. Right? Do you want dplyr work again, or do you want to get introduced to ggplot? Right? I can give you more tasks on dplyr next week. That is also possible. Or I can just give you for example, like a kind of introduction to ggplot, and we can just create some plots with ggplot2 package. What do you want? Like you want to have more experience on dplyr?
I would suggest one thing maybe.
Yep.
I think we've seen enough of dplyr, but if you have some files already or some tasks already lined up, you could send the file and we could do it in our own personal time.
Okay.
And then next week we can continue with the ggplot if it's okay with everyone.
Yeah, that's also important, right? So everyone should feel comfortable, right?
Yeah. So that's just my opinion, but yeah, others can give their feedback.
What do you feel, guys?
I think so. It's like 1 week after, then we'll meet again. In that way, we all will be like. It's like we need to start on dplyrs and discussion or something. If you giving some task, that's fine. We'll do it and we'll discuss those tasks and whatever. Then we can easily move to the next package, because we don't want to be like forgot the dplyr. What is dplyr? We learned already. So at least we should discuss that one in the next session for few minutes or something, so that it will be like.
Then we can get into the ggplot, right?
Yeah.
That sounds
okay.
good.
So let me see. For that I need to write something. So once I write, and then if I have a kind of script file, and then I'll alert you over Skype, and then I'll let you know, because we cannot use Zoom all the time, right? And I will alert you. I'll just put the file over in Skype and access it, then complete the task for the upcoming week.
Okay, sure.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Perfect. So and then I wish you all have a very nice weekend. And probably I think half of the weekend is over already, but still have a nice weekend, and then enjoy. Be safe and stay home.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
So,
Bye. Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.